today our topic is the body as a psychic receiver. Body is one of the topics that is I love exploring about. I love creating a different point of view around. I am a classical dancer. I actually started learning classical dance while I was pretty, I want to say old, but I wasn't really, like I was 26. And by classical standards, most people, enroll their kids in Indian classical dance forms when they're really, really young. So I really bought into the point of view for a while that because I'm old now, I'm grown up, so I cannot learn dance. And literally, I remember the first time I had that thought, I was 16 years old. And it took me 10 years, literally a decade, before when I was finally 26, that I'm like, fuck it, that's a lie. And I've been curious about this topic of bodies, and I love movement. I love the movement. And I would actually encourage you to look that for yourself. What is it that your body desires? Because, our body is our vehicle for this lifetime. So, and is often ignored, often deprioritized, not prioritized. And so, yeah, we cannot create anything. We cannot have a life. We cannot live. We cannot create our businesses if it's not for the body, and how often it is excluded. So first of all, let's run a little clearing here. Everywhere you've excluded your body from you, your life, and creation of your living, will you now destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pot, pock, shorts, boys and beyonds. This might actually, I'm noticing the first time I'm running a clearing statement on a show right here. And so this right here was an access consciousness clearing statement. And since we just got into it, let me give you a little bit of information on what that is. In access consciousness, of which, by the way, I'm a certified facilitator. So in access consciousness, what they invite you, the way we run clearings is, first of all, we ask a question, and we don't engage with things cognitively. We invite you to engage with things from an energetic point of view. Because guess what's your first language? And whatever you thought it is not your first language. Your first language is not Hindi, not English, not Spanish, not French, not German, none of that. Your first language is energy. That's the first language in the nature. That's how all the beings in nature, including us, it's a separate story that a lot of times we cut off ourselves and separate ourselves from the nature, but we are nature. Have you considered that? And so all the things in nature communicate energetically. There's an energy that speaks. It does not require words. And it's an ability that all of us innately have. We're born with it. That's how like a child communicates. A lot of what goes on in like a mother-child relationship is very energetic. And it kind of blends in with this topic today, that body as a psychic receiver. We'll come to that in a bit. I wanted to cover the clearing statement. So we ask a question and we look at the energy that comes out. We don't go into the logic, because the logic and your mind is limited by what it already knows. But energy has an unlimited perception and awareness. So we tap into the energy of it. And then whatever it is whatever is the energy that the question brings up, we look at it and we ask, oh, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Because even underneath all the limitations that you're holding on to in your life is this energy. We could approach literally everything in our lives, and remember that tool that I often talks about here, that what's light for you is what's true for you. What's heavy is a lie. It's just another way of inviting you to start using and engaging with energy to create your life. So we look at the energy that it brings up, and all the limitations, all the points of views, everything that we bought as real that is not real as and true for us is essentially the platform for any limitation. So instead of going into the cognitives of it, and I get it because I was educated in psychology. I went to school for 5 years to study psychology. I graduated. Actually, I was the gold medalist of my university. So like I didn't just study psychology, I did it right. But what I found was like a lot of engagement in psychology is cognitive. And that's the point of view, basically, that we have to identify what it is cognitively and then change it. And when we take on that point of view, we create from that. And I'm not going to discard that it doesn't work at all. It works at some level. But when I was introduced to the energetic point of view, which is there is an energy underneath that we aren't even aware of cognitively, that if we directly engaged with and spoke to it, what else could be possible? That this way of clearing came up, which is what I learned in Access Consciousness, and I use daily, like relentlessly in my life. So we ask a question, look at the energy that comes up, and without wanting to understand it, because whatever it is that comes up is what's creating the limitation in your life in that area. So you destroy and uncreate it all. And all it takes is the willingness, because at some point you created it. Like, you are an infinite being. And as an infinite being, you have infinite abilities. In order for you to create a limitation, at some point you created it. So we straight away head on to that energy and clear it out and run the clearing statement, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. It can initially feel very woo-woo to you. I was actually recently having a conversation with a friend of mine saying how for almost 10 years I didn't truly believe in this, like, because I was approaching it from a point of view of belief and not from a place of what's light, what's heavy. And I started using it differently, and it's changed. And if you want to know more about it, you can go to theclearingstatement.com, where Dr. Dane here, one of the co-founders, has beautifully explained it. I'm also actually looking at creating a video for my interpretation and how I get and like to teach about the clearing statement in a video. So that's likely going to be in my group, which is also coming soon. But coming back to the topic now, the body as a psychic receiver. And all through everything that I say here, and everywhere else in your life too, but especially everything that I say here that you're listening to, I really encourage you to use that tool of light and heavy and see what part of it is light for you and what's not. So, body as a psychic receiver. Your body has this intuitive capacity to just be aware. It's aware. It's like a sensate sensory organism. It's sharing information about the world, about what's going on inside you, about what's going on outside of you all of the time. Now, sometimes we call it emotions. Sometimes we perceive it as thoughts. Sometimes we perceive it as pain. A lot of times we like sometimes call it serendipity, you know, when you're thinking about somebody and they call, or you just know that there's something not, you know, you really just feel it in your bones. There's something not right about, there's something not right with someone. There's something that's off about someone. You just know it. You feel it in your body. And all of that is energetic, essentially, right? Like, none of that is cognitive. A lot of times pieces don't fit, the logics don't match. But like, I found it, I wonder if it's the same for you. I found it for myself that a lot of times all through growing up, I would get information about somebody that would not match the logics. So on the surface, it would look very different. And one of the things that really popped for me is really one of the cousins that I had growing up, who was always ultra sweet, ultra wonderful on a surface level with me, but there was the energy underneath that. It just didn't match that. It was just not congruent for me. And I would share it with my mother, and she could not see it because, you know, that's how we base a lot of the things in our world around. What we can see is what is, but there's an energy underneath that. And our body as a psychic receiver gives us information that goes beyond logic. And the thing about our current ways of life is that we're not really educated on energy. We're educated on our minds and on our intelligence. And actually, one of the most beautiful things I heard David Attenborough say in The Planet Earth, the recent documentary. By the way, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend. Go to Netflix. I cannot instantly recall the name, but I'll post it in the group, or otherwise just search for David Attenborough. and his recent documentary. And one of the things that he says in it is that it's the, I'm going to totally butcher it, so I'm just going to try to paraphrase it because he says it beautifully in a phrase. That what he essentially says is that our mind and our intelligence is what we use to get here. But if we want to go any further from here, if you truly want to create sustainable planet Earth, what's required is not our mind and our intelligence, because that's what got us here. What's required is wisdom. And there's a wisdom that's way more expansive, way more inclusive than our intelligence. Because intelligence would ask you to dig up, a hole and take out the oil from earth, but your wisdom might have a different point of view. And the wisdom is not logical. It requires you to be present energetically with the earth, with your body, knowing exactly what are the ways in which your body communicates with you, all the things that it is aware of. Because remember, your body is a sensate, sensory organism. We do know that. We do say that. Skin is one of our senses, right? Touch is one of our senses. Smell is one of our senses. And I know there's this one, we often call it the sixth sense, and that's another way of putting our sense for energy, which is, when you walk into a room and somebody's really mad, they don't even have to open their words. Like, they might be wearing a really nice cape to cover it up, but you just know. And how's that? Because you just sensed. And literally your body gives you information. And this is an important conversation from my point of view, because if we do not identify that not everything that we are perceiving physically in our body, including physical pain, is ours, that it's possible it could be like information that our body is giving us. And I know some of us call ourselves empaths, which is we have the awareness that we can perceive in our physical body what's going on for somebody else. And it could be something as simple as you crossing someone on the street. It could be something as simple as you thinking about someone, and your body gives you this instant download of information about that person. Like with me, a lot of times what occurs, and I wonder where it's true for you too, is that I would have these sudden pains come up, like I'm fine right now, and then suddenly I'll start feeling very like this dull sensation in my back. And if I just assume it's mine and try going about fixing it like my mom does, my mom really hasn't yet gotten this thing. And that's another thing, we get it when we get it. There's no judgment there. Everything is included in consciousness. Nothing is judged. But like, there's so many pains and aches that my mom has physically in her body that debilitates her, and she goes to doctors after doctors after doctors because she's decided somewhere there has to be a medical cause. And guess what? My mom's got all the MRIs done, all the CT scans done, all the blood tests, name it, and every test on the planet that's available. I'm pretty sure my mom's got it done to find out what's wrong, and there never is. She's like this curious case of Benjamin kind of a situation for the doctors in India, like our family doctors and stuff, and everyone's like, and a lot of times we call it, what's that word, hypochondria in psychology, which is like you're imagining you don't really have that, you're just making it up. But is it that you're making it up, or is it that your body, the enormous sensory organ, is giving you information about what's going on around you, about what's going on in the world? And unless you start, even just ask yourself, hey, is that light or is that heavy? Is it heavy listening to that, or is it light? And if it is light, what's true about it for you? What's true about it for your body that you haven't yet acknowledged? And so when you're creating your life and you're creating your business, when you're creating your living, your relationships, hell, even when you're working out and creating your body, I wonder what this contribution, or what this awareness can contribute, that not everything that you feel, not everything that you think, not everything that you perceive is yours. It's awareness. And hence, I know it becomes very important to educate ourselves, because our traditional schools of education are not about educating us to have an intimate awareness of our being. They designed to educate us, to train our minds, which is that intelligence piece that David Attenborough talks about. That intelligence is what got us there. But if you want to go any further, if you really want to create a sustainable planet, we've got to stop making it the most valuable product and start engaging with our wisdom, because our wisdom is what's going to create the future on the planet Earth, in which humans are included. Because guess what? Mother Earth ain't dying. Nah, maybe we will. So that's the entire sustainability conversation. Let me see. I had a few things I thought I want to talk about today written down. Body is a psychic receiver. I feel it, therefore it's mine. That's one of the biggest lies that's been perpetrated on us. It's not that, it's kind of lies perpetrated, and it's also like there's no education. There's no real education about this. Not many people do I even personally know, and even otherwise in the world, that really look at it from this point of view, that my body, it's feeling it, but is it even mine? And so how can you know if it's not yours or not? Simple, by asking a question. And here's where I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot and talk about questions, because asking a question is not the same as looking for an answer. I know, shocker, right? We were trained. It's a long entrainment, especially in our education and stuff. When our teacher asks a question, it's not about, are they asking a question, or are they asking us to bring us an answer? And it might confuse you a little bit, but they're not the same thing. A true question is something that opens up a gateway of possibilities, that opens up your awareness. A true question expands your awareness. But when you're looking for an answer, it's a very narrow down approach, because then you're not looking for what's possible. What is this? From this open, curious wonderment of a space, but you're actually very narrowed down about getting the answer. And the thing about getting an answer is you don't just want to get an answer, you want to get the right fucking answer. And then you have right here a parameter set to judge yourself against, because did I get it right or did I get it wrong? Because if I didn't get it right, I must be wrong. And so everything, all of that is, and everything underneath that, and everywhere we made ourselves wrong for all the answers we cannot find, because the purpose of a question is not to find an answer. The purpose of a question is to expand your awareness. So everywhere you innately knew it, but you were taught the other way, you were taught the opposite of it, and everywhere you made yourself wrong for that. Will you now destroy and uncreate all that, please? Times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pot, pock, shorts, boys and beyonds. And if you're wondering what I'm just doing here, earlier on in this video we talked about it, so I invite you to go back and listen to that piece about what is this funny thing I just did. Anyway, so how can you know? You can know, my friend, by asking a question. And if you know that the purpose of a question is to expand possibilities and to create an expansion in your world, not a contraction, then when you ask this question, who does this belong to? Like, that's literally all that's required. So just right now, anything in your life or in your body, let's talk about body, anything in your body that feels heavy, contracted. It could be like a pimple. It could be like, that's a weird example. It could be like a pimple. It could be a pain in your body. It could just be a general sense of, because bodies, they like, and is anything in the nature, or is everything in the nature this expansive energy? So anywhere in your body that you're perceiving a sense of contraction or heaviness or pain or intensity, could even be like an emotional intensity showing up in your body, I want you to bring your attention, your awareness to that. We're going to do a little exercise right here. Bring your awareness to that sensation in your body, wherever you feel it. Lower down any barriers you have to receiving it. And barriers are essentially any thoughts that you have. Anywhere you're unwilling to receive it in terms of a resistance that you have against it. Everywhere you're making it or you wrong. Lower all those barriers. You can raise them up right after this, but maybe not if you don't want to. But for now, lower down your barriers, and be with that intensity, be with that pain or intensity or whatever that contraction is in your body. And take a breath in, breathe out, just relax and be with it. It's not going to eat you, it's not going to kill you, I promise you that. Just be with it. Now just invite yourself to be a little curious and ask, is this mine or is this awareness? And the way you know that is not by thinking about it, there's no logic here. The way you know what's true for you is by tapping into what's light. So what's light? Is it yours? Does your energy expand when you look into that? Or is it somebody or something else's? And does your energy expand to that? And chances are that it's not yours. So for a moment, just allow that awareness to sink in. Your body's aware. It's a psychic, moving organism that's giving you information at all times. So I wonder if it's not yours. What is it? And it's not relevant. It's not about going into, thinking about what it is. Not that. Just the curiosity that, oh, it's not even mine. And allow that to really sink in. Not yours. Everything that's heavy, everything that's contractive is not yours. Not yours. No matter how much your mind wants to logic against it, it's not yours. Because what's yours is always light and expansive. And so everywhere you've bought in, anything that you bought in as real as true, that solidifies this for you, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pop, shorts, boys and beyonds. And just notice what occurs when you're present with an energy. Does it start to open up something? Does it lighten up something? Is it the same as it was, or does it change to something else? And that's the curiosity. And it's a big conversation, which we're literally just standing on the doorsteps of. But how does it get any better than that? That you're starting to explore for yourself what is real and true for you and what isn't. What are the ways in which your body is communicating with you that you haven't yet acknowledged? And what if you trusted you with the awareness that what's light is what's true? And so if it's heavy, there's something there that's not even true. So what if it's not even relevant? And everywhere you're making it relevant, everywhere you're trying to understand it, make sense of it, fix it, and just because you can feel it, it's yours, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pot, pork, shorts, boys and beyonds, and what else is possible if you started approaching your life, your living, the sensations in your body, not from a cognitive point of view, not from a place of looking for an answer for what it is, but from an energetic point of view, from a space of curiosity and wonderment, and knowing, truly knowing in your bones that if it's not light, it's not yours. And so if it isn't light for you, it opens up a whole new gateway of possibilities. And I wonder, what's another way of being? And what's another way of living? What's another way of creating? That's more true, not even more, that is true for you, that you haven't yet acknowledged. And I'm going to leave you with that one today. And we'll keep having these conversations right here. I'm going to share about the group that I'm creating so we can play with this awareness more dynamically, use it more dynamically, I'm looking at starting, challenges maybe and exploration. And I wonder what else is possible with the group that I'm aware of. I already have the graphics in the making and stuff like that. So that's coming soon. But for today, my friend, here's a question that I read in this amazing book called Body Whispering by Dr. Dane here. It's becoming my new favorite of this time and era. This one question that I read somewhere here, there, that I wrote down that I want to share with you, which is, what am I not acknowledging that I'm locking into my body as pain? What am I not acknowledging that I'm locking into my body as intensity? What am I not acknowledging is not even real and is not even true for me? So I'll leave you with that. Maruna, my beautiful, beautiful friend. So good to see you here. Mwah, big kisses. I cannot wait to hug you in person at some point. And everybody, what just occurred is my beautiful friend Maruna showed up on the live. I record this show live on my Facebook page at I am Eva Pandit, and I warmly invite you to join me. Typically, I'm kind of like playing with it. I'm not giving myself a particular date and time to do that, but I do get, if I do that, we'll create more. So when I have a specific date and time that I'm recording these, I will share with you. But for now, I do know that I'm recording these on Wednesdays. And so just join me here. Send me a hello in comments below so we can engage, so that I can get to know you. And how does it get any better than that? I'm so grateful you're here and that you're taking time to listen to this and to explore a different possibility for yourself. Truly wonder what else is possible, my friend. I will be here again next week, and until then, happy exploring, and I invite you to really use this and ask yourself how much of what you're holding on in your body isn't even yours. I'll see you again next week. Mwah. Bye.